Billy Graham once said, "A good father is one of the most unsung, unpraised, unnoticed, and yet one of the most valuable assets in our society." Welcome to Yesterday Was Easy. In the next couple episodes, I will be referring to C.R. Wiley's excellent book, The Household and the War for the Cosmos, as well as the Trad Dad conference he did in 2023, which is also fantastic and accompanies his book nicely. You can find both of these resources on the Canon Plus app. I highly recommend both of them. The reason I bring the conference up is to say that I am stealing that title, not only for this episode, but also moving forward, as I intentionally, there's that word again, try to hammer home principles of biblical masculinity into the minds of Christian men. Sadly, I am discovering that I am far from discussing the finishing touches using finished nails and a nail set to drive these principles home. Instead, overall, I need to start at the foundation for the men of the modern church. My medium for this conversation includes 2x4s, 16 penny nails, and a framing hammer to construct the forms for the concrete foundation. Eventually, I will get to framing walls, but for now, I need to begin with the basics and work my way up. You've probably heard the term trad wife, which is just short for traditional wife. I believe this trend started with the purest intentions, with wives who hold to traditional values, like a biblical view of marriage, being homemakers, homeschooling, etc. A certain style or look also came with the term, resembling a post-World War II wife pictured in a Norman Rockwell painting, or an edition of the Saturday Evening Post. Of course, the left then hijacked the term and turned it into a pejorative for white Christian women extremists. From there, it appears to now have become a new fashion trend reminiscent of the female wardrobe from Mad Men. So, naturally then, the term trad dad is short for traditional dad and is a title I am fully comfortable borrowing and proudly claiming. I'm not sure if C.R. Wiley thought of this himself or borrowed it from someone else, but kudos to whomever it originates. Regardless, Wiley defines traditional fatherhood as wisdom handed down to us in a set of customs, a way of doing things, and has been summarized in a set of categories: purpose, provision, and protection. Fatherhood is to be considered something created by God himself, not a social construct invented by men. Now, although I love what CR has to say, I personally use Vodi Baucham's 4 Ps of a family shepherd to define traditional fatherhood. These roles are priest, prophet, provider, and protector. The next several episodes will be devoted to further fleshing out this mindset and will include one episode for each of those roles. So I will not take a deep dive today, but will briefly define each one to lay the foundation for this discussion. A priest is one who represents his people before God and is described by Vodi in his book Family Shepherds as an individual who is an intercessor, who prays for his family, who goes before the throne of God on behalf of this one whom he loves and to whom and for whom he is giving his life. A prophet is one who represents God before his people. Vodi said, the role of a prophet is to instruct, to warn if necessary. This goes back to the responsibility in Ephesians chapter 5 to wash his wife with the water of the word. Also, this man will ultimately have the responsibility to bring his children up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. He has a prophetic responsibility to instruct his family in the word. A provider is one who ensures that his people have what they need. Here Vodi says that a provider needs to be a whatever it takes, do what I need to do kind of man in order to provide for whoever he is responsible. Lastly, a protector is one who protects the people God has entrusted him with. According to Vodi, you are called to lay it all down, if necessary, for your family. You are called to position yourself between your family and harm that would come to them physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Now, I will say that in my nearly 15 years of pastoring, most Christian men do an adequate to excellent job of providing for their families. There are, of course, the occasional bums who wouldn't know a job if it arrived in the mail like a COVID check from dear Uncle Sam. But the exception does not make the rule. I will also say that, in my experience, more men than not have at least contemplated protecting their families, physically. The level of protection may range anywhere from fantastical visions of beating up bad guys in their brains to actually practicing for worst-case scenarios. But most Christian dudes will fold like a lawn chair on the 4th of July at the mere scent of a potential prowler. Side note, there are different kinds of protection fathers must provide for their families. They may or may not be successfully doing. We will discuss this later. The two roles I am seeing the most failure at are priest and prophet. I believe the reason for this is a short-sightedness of our ultimate purpose. As Wiley correctly pointed out in his book, we exist in a war for the cosmos. This war is between good and evil, God and Satan, angels and demons. To tie this in with the quote I started with, yes, it is ultimately a spiritual war, but it manifests itself here and now through the physical, and we, as humans, are the soldiers fighting this war. The myth of neutrality is false. We are either fighting for Christ or against him. Colossians chapter 1 is clear that Christ came to reconcile all things to himself, and we know from 1 John 3 that Christ appeared in order to destroy the works of Satan. Yes, and amen. But how does he accomplish that? Through his people. I believe this to be a very important part that we are neglecting. But we are out of time for today, so I will dive deeper into this specific conversation in the next episode. In closing, Wiley said this about traditional fatherhood. It is the work of a lifetime, but the meaning of your life as a man and as a father, as well as the welfare of the people who depend upon you, depends upon it. Being a traditional father is not a title given, but one that is earned, and the way you earn it is by owning it. Like your favorite pair of work jeans or worn out flannel, you wear it. The rips and tears, the oil stains, the worn down knees and elbows are the battle scars showing you have the right to wear the t-shirt with the bold but simple lettering that reads, Trad Dad. Yesterday was easy. Be a trad dad. Stay hard.